Hello students, we are talking about the next chapter called as plant kingdom. So we know that all the living organisms are classified into 5 kingdoms. So Robert H. Whittaker classified all the living organisms into 5 kingdoms called Kingdom Monera, Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Mycota, Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animilla or Animae. These are the 5 kingdoms. So we know that in this Kingdom Mycota called as fungi, and some of the members of Monera has not been included under plant kingdom. So they possess cell wall, but still they have been excluded from the kingdom Plantae. And in this plant kingdom, he has included about 5 divisions. One is called as Algae, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. So here in the kingdom plant kingdom or Plantae, he has made 5 divisions. So in this, one is called as Algae, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Whereas blue-green algae is being included under cyanobacteria. Now, just we are going one after the other in details. So we will go for the classification of the plant kingdom. So here the plant kingdom is classified into 2 types. One, do not have differentiated plant body. Here the plant body is not being differentiated into root, stem, leaf like this. So here it is not a differentiated plant body, hence they are called as Thallophyta. So in this Thallophyta, we are going to study about algae. So this is Thallophyta which do not have differentiated plant body. In the second one, have differentiated plant bodies. So here the plant body is differentiated. So here again, the differentiated plant body is classified into 2 types. One is usually called as without vascular system, one with vascular system. So first one is without specialized vascular tissue. So without specialized vascular tissue, they are called as a tricheta. So tricheta is absent, so it is called as a tricheta. Here there is a presence of xylem and phloem is absent. So this is usually bryophytes, where xylem and phloem is totally absent. Under this a tricheta, there is a presence of bryophytes. Next one. We come to the next one called as vascular system is present, or we call with vascular tissue called as trachea. So in this trachea, again with the vascular system, xylem and phloem is differentiated into different types. One is called as based on the lower vascular bundles and well organized vascular bundles. So based on the first one, they do not produce seeds. So this is called as pteridophytes. In this pteridophytes, we call this as a lower vascular branch, and they do not produce seeds. So here in vascular system, 2 types, without seeds, with seeds. But here pteridophyta, they are called as lower vascular branch, but here they never produce seeds. Example for this is pteridophyta. Whereas the other one is called as they produce seeds. Seeds are being produced, and here they are called as phanerogams. So the plant which produces seeds are called as phenerogams. The plants which do not produce seeds, they are called as cryptograms. They are called as cryptograms. They do not produce seeds, cryptograms. Whereas producing seeds are called as phenerogams. Again, in this phenerogams, they are classified into two types. First one is the bare naked seeds. So here the seeds are produced, but seeds are not covered. Seeds are not covered by the fruit wall. So here they bear the seed, but the seed is not covered by the fruit wall. Hence they are called as naked seeded plants. Naked seeded plants, and this is called as gymnosperms. Whereas when we come back to the seed bearing fruit, so we call it as phenerogams, as the presence of bare seeds inside the fruit. So we know that the seeds are covered by the fruit wall. The fruit wall is called as pericarp. Inside the pericarp, the seeds are being present. So here the seeds are present inside the fruit. So they are called as angiosperms. So in angiosperms again, so angiosperms is called as closed seeded plants. Closed seeded. Here the seeds are covered by a fruit wall. Again, angiosperms are divided into two types based on the cotyledons. So if a seed has two cotyledons, seed has a presence of two cotyledons, they are called as dicots. If a seed has only one cotyledon, so here if a seed has only one cotyledon, then it is called as monocots. So here dicots means two cotyledons in a seed. Monocot means it has a presence of only one cotyledons in the seeds. So we'll start with the next study called as system of classification or classification system. So we know that all the living organisms are included under 5 kingdoms. But here there are, based on the system of classifications, there are 4 types of classification. 4 types of classifications are there. The first one is called as artificial system of classification. The first one is artificial system of classification. So here this is the first one. Based on this classification was proposed by Carolus Linnaeus. So here we know that Carolus Linnaeus is called as the father of taxonomy. So this person has proposed the artificial system of classification. So this person classified based on several morphological characters. He classified the artificial system based on morphological characters. Morphological characters as it may be habit, color, shape. So habit, color, shape and various leaf characters. Based on the character of a leaf like this, based on the shape of a leaf, number of a leaf, so like this, based on the color, shape, all this he has been classified. But here we know that he has taken more about vegetative characters and classified and this person also classified based on number of and ratio. Based on the number of and ratio. So here the number of stamens, how many stamens are there? How many lobes are there in the anther? So based on the and ratio, number of stamens has been taken into consideration, as well as based on the number of carpels. It is a female reproductive system. In a female reproductive system, based on the number of carpels, he has been classified. I repeat this, artificial system of classification was according to the various morphological characters based on the shape, based on the color or habitat. Based on the habit means how the plant is present based on it. So here, and we also classified based on androecium and based on number of stamens and based on number of carpels. Next. Linnaeus has written a book. The Linnaeus has written a book, and the book is called as Species Plantarum. So the book written by Linnaeus is called as Species Plantarum. So in this Species Plantarum book, he has mentioned about 5,900 species of plants. 5,900 species of plants was included under his book called as Species Plantarum, and this was written in 1737. So this is the book written here. Next. So we know that Linnaeus also divided plants. Linnaeus classified the plants into 24 classes. Yes, divided the plants into 24 classes. In these 24 classes, the first 23 classes he mentioned about the flowering plants. And we know that they are called as phenogams. So Linnaeus classified the 24 classes. In these 24 classes, the first 23 classes he was classified based on the flowering plants called as phenogams. Whereas the last class called 24th class, he has classified about non-flowering plants. And these non-flowering plants are called as cryptograms. So non-flowering plants are called as cryptograms. So here they do not have flowering. So they are called as cryptograms. So this is one. So in this classification, again Aristotle and Theophrastus. We know that Aristotle is called as scholar of biology, Theophrastus is called as scholar of botany. These two persons also use artificial system of classification. But artificial system of classification is not accepted because this artificial system was purely based on morphological characters. So it is usually not taken into consideration, or it is purely based on the vegetative characters. So we know that as the environment is keep on changing. As the environment is changing, the vegetative characters may differ. So this cannot be taken into consideration. So this system is not accepted. So we go for the second system called as natural system of classification. So natural system of classification is also called as 2D system of classification. 2D system of classification. This is also called as Bentham and Hooker classification. Bentham and Hooker's classification. So here, this Bentham and Hooker classification was proposed by George Bentham. And Joseph Dalton Hooker. So these two persons have proposed the book or proposed the classification called as natural system of classification. So these persons classified based on both external and internal characters. Classified based on both external and internal characters. They explain based on the external characters also and based on the internal characters also. So some of the internal characters may be ultrastructures based on the ultrastructure, or it may be based on the anatomy, based on the morphology, or we call it as morphology as well as embryology as well as phytochemistry. Phytochemistry. So based on all these internal characters, it may be ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology, photochemistry or phytochemistry. Based on this internal characters we are classified. And this person's natural system of classification was given by Bentham and Hooker. They have given a book, or they have written a 3 volumes book. They have written a 3 volumes book, and the name of the book is Genera Plantarum. So this is the title of the book written by Bentham and Hooker. In this book, they have mentioned about 202 families. So in this book, they have mentioned 202 families. And again, this persons classified the plants based on 2 types, based on the seeded and other one is based on non-seeded. So seeds are absent as well as seeds are present. So the first one, they have natural system is classified into 2 types. So Bentham and Hooker classified based on 2 types of plants. One is called as cryptograms. So the meaning of cryptograms here, the seedless plants. Seeds are totally absent. So they are called as cryptograms. And the second one is called as phenerogams. The meaning of phenerogams, seeded plants. So Bentham and Hooker classified both on external and internal characters, as well as the plants are classified into seeded plants and non-seeded plants or seedless plants. And again, phenerogams was classified into 3 classes. One is called as leguminosae. So in this leguminosae, this can be noticed in calciflorae. So in this calciflorae, leguminosae is one. And the other one is called as subclass monoclamidae. So this monoclamidae has 8 series, and the audience animae. So animalia, this have the plants with analogous characters. So the word analogous is nothing but which has different characters was taken and it is being included. Whereas the Bentham and Hooker's classification, again, it is not being accepted because it is again here the demerit for the Bentham and Hooker's. They included gymnosperms. Here gymnosperms has been included in between the dicots and the monocots. So here in this we know that here Bentham and Hooker's classification demerit is nothing but they have included gymnosperms. So gymnosperms are called as naked seeded plants. This was being included in between the dicots and monocots. So this dicots and monocot comes under angiosperms, but it is closed seeded plants. In between closed seeded plants, the naked seeded plants was being included. So this system is not taken into consideration. This is wrong. We go for the next one. So we go for the next one called as phylogenetic system of classification. So this phylogenetic system of classification is called as the third type of classification. It is also called as 3D system of classification, or it is also called as Engler and Prandtl system of classification. So this system was proposed by Engler and Prandtl. Hence, it is called as Engler and Prandtl. It was proposed by Adolf Engler and Karl Prandtl has classified this, hence it is called as Engler and Prandtl system of classification. So this person classified the phylogenetic system based on the evolutionary relationships, based on the evolutionary relationship of an organism. So in a diverse system of organisms based on the evolutionary system. So this evolutionary systems again based on the same taxa, based on the same taxa having common ancestor. They are based on the evolutionary history, evolutionary relationship, based on evolutionary relationship, as well as based on the same taxa having common ancestors. They have been classified. Along with that, they have also classified based on the chromosome numbers. Based on the chromosome numbers also have been classified. Here they have took several characters and classified each one, and based on the chromosome number, each cell has a chromosomes. Based on the number of chromosomes also this was been classified, and also based on the evolutionary relationships. This person, Engler and Prandtl, has written a book of 23 volumes. So 23 volumes book was written, and the name of the book is called as Nature Flazen Familiar. Nature Flazen Familiar. So this is the title of the book written by Engler and Prandtl. So this Engler and Prandtl has classified based on evolutionary history and written a 23 volumes book, Nature Flazen Familiar. In this book, they have mentioned about monocots are always called as the ancestors. They are called as ancestors or ancestral origin, which has given rise to dicots. We like to use the word monocots are called as ancestors than the dicots. Based on this, it was being classified, and this is the right system of classification. So we go for some more different authors. So the others who have been proposed the Engler and Prandtl system of classification is, one is John Hutchinson. So this John Hutchinson has proposed in the year 1959. So here Hutchinson's, it is John Hutchinson. In 1959, this person proposed Engler and Prandtl system. So in this, he has written a book. Hutchinson has written a book called as the Families of Flowering Plant. Families of Flowering Plant in 2 volumes book, and this person has divided the angiosperms into 411 families. Divided the angiosperms into 411 families. And the other person in 1967, Tugden, this person has written a book called as A System of Phylogeny. A System of Phylogeny of Flowering Plants and Flora Harmonia. So this is the book written by the Tugden, and this person said that the taxonomy is important. So here he says taxonomy without phylogeny. Taxonomy without phylogeny may be like a bones without flesh. Bones without flesh. And this system was being accepted, and in the year 1995 this system of classification is revised. So we go for the 4th type of classification. So fourth type is called as phenotypic system of classification or phenotypic classification. So here we know that nowadays biologists are working hard with their computer systems. So we know that the worldwide it is used based on the data and facts of the required sources. So based on the data as well as the facts of the source present, based on this it is being classified. So it is being classified into different types. The first one is called as numerical taxonomy. Numerical taxonomy. So here numerical taxonomy is also called as Addison's taxonomy. So Addison's taxonomy is also called as taximetries. So this is nothing but numerical taxonomy, Addison's taxonomy, or it is called as taximetrics. Is nothing but it is based on the observation of characters and carried out by using computers. So here observing different types of characters, various characters has been observed and it is used by the computer data. So here they are classified based on the numbering of the species, based on the numbering of individuals, based on the characters, numbers and codes are given to all the characters. Based on numbering and coding, of all the characters has been taken into consideration in the numerical taxonomy. So it is also called as statistical method. It is called as statistical method of characters. Based on different statistical methods of various characters has been taken here and it is being classified and it is being fitted based on the data in the computers. So it is called as numerical taxonomy. We go for the second one, called as cytotaxonomy. The second one is cytotaxonomy. So here the cytotaxonomy is based on the cytological evidences. So here it is nothing but the cytological data or cytological evidences of an organism was been taken here and it has been considered. Here it may be in the form of chromosome number based on nucleic acids, DNA or RNA. So like this, how a cell is functioning, what is the structure of nucleic acid, behavior of nucleic acids, based on this it is being classified. Based on the pattern of banding of chromosomes, banding of chromosome numbers has been classified under this. The banding of chromosomes is also called as karyotaxonomy. So here based on the pattern of chromosome numbers, based on the banding pattern of chromosomes, it is called as karyotaxonomy. It is also one of the branch under cytotaxonomy. So we go for the next one is chemotaxonomy. So chemotaxonomy is nothing but it is based on the chemical constitution. It is based on the chemical constitution of plants. So here, what is the chemical constitution of the plants is being included under here, or it is also called as phytochemical. It is called as phytochemical data in botany. So this is chemotaxonomy, based on the chemical nature, or it is nothing but based on the phytochemical data. So in this chemotaxonomy, it is nothing but phytochemical data in botany, and it helps to resolve the doubts present in the plants botany. So here, what are the characters based on the chemical compositions it may be classified? Example, one is called as cystolactin as well as rapins. So this chemical composition, based on that, the characters will be sorted out and it can be placed in the databases. So this is called as chemotaxonomy. The fourth one is called as experimental taxonomy. The fourth one is called experimental taxonomy. So in this experimental taxonomy, it is always based on the genetic relationship. Based on the genetic relationship between the organisms. So between the organisms, it has been classified. So we know that based on the chromosome number, based on the genetic materials, it has been classified. So how an evolutionary history takes place? For example, the monkey has given rise to humans. Based on the evolutionary history, based on the genetic relationship between the two organisms, here the experimental taxonomy is classified. So all this are nothing but the different types of classifications. So in the next videos, we are going to talk about the 5 different classes. So we are going to discuss with first algae, and algae is followed by bryophytes. Bryophytes is followed by pteridophytes. Pteridophytes followed by gymnosperms and angiosperms. Each one characters in classification in detail we are going to discuss in the next videos.